Hello! Welcome to Duncan Egg Bricks and to a very special early LEGO Star Wars review. Today we're going to be taking a look at set number 75398, simply called C-3PO. Now, as I said, at the time of reviewing, this set is still technically not out for another week, but I did manage to pick it up early at a local retailer, so thank you very much to them for getting this to me. And I've been wanting to pick this up ever since it was first rumoured. Of course, we have the R2-D2 that came out at the beginning of the year, and I do have that set, and I will be comparing it to this and putting them together for display. When I heard it was coming out, I thought that would be a fantastic comparison, a fantastic pairing, and indeed it is, looking at some of the other reviews that have already come out. Obviously, I've missed the boat on all the buzz around this set, but I'm really happy to be able to get it a bit early. Just taking a look at the box to begin with, it's interesting that this one comes in the very familiar black box with the slight glow around C-3PO's middle, like he's emitting the light, whereas the R2-D2 actually came in a fairly colourful box with Tatooine landscape behind him. So yeah, not sure why they've done that, but yeah, there we are. I won't be keeping the box anyway, so it doesn't really matter. If we just spin the box around to the back, this is really the wrong it's the wrong size to fit in a screen like this. But yeah, we've got another version of C-3PO, or another view of C-3PO I should say, showing off a little bit of the posability on the arms there. We've got a still from A New Hope showing R2-D2 and C-3PO. We of course get a C-3PO minifigure in there, which is really nice as well, and then it just shows off his dimensions there. Like I said, he does scale to R2-D2 really nicely. Although he does come with a base, which is interesting, I think for stability reasons, whereas R2 doesn't. So a future project might be creating a base for both of them to fit onto. Moving on to opening the box, like quite a few recent sets, especially those more expensive, slightly more adult-orientated sets, this one doesn't have punch tabs. It does actually have tape, and it also has a proper lid that will lift off, so it's actually upside down at the moment. Just going to cut the tape seals. This is very exciting. Yeah, it's been a while since we've had sets which have actually had proper lids like this. One I had recently was the Durmstrang ship and Roboton Arrival, or whatever that set was called, you know what I mean. That had a lid as well. But yeah, it's interesting that they're going back to that for a lot of sets. So that should be all the tape seals cut. Let's take this lid off. And inside, technically it looks a bit upside down there, but there we go. And we have got our paper bags, which look fantastic. Always good to see those. We've got bags at least up to 11 and possibly more. I'll just pull these out now. And in here as well, we have got our instruction manual, which is inside some cardboard. I'll just quickly take that out. That is just glued down. We should have a small sticker sheet in there as well. So there's our manual, a much nicer manual than some of the ones we've had recently. It actually is a photo of C-3PO, or at least a very, very good render, same one as on the front of the box. Just a big improvement. And there is our sticker sheet. So there are some printed pieces in this set, but they've used the print's budget appropriately. So for instance, this gold detail here is printed, as is the mouth and nose and this, and they've kept the stickers for the black bits, mainly in C-3PO's midriff and also in the palms of his hands. So there we go, those are all the pieces for the brand new C-3PO set. Let's go ahead and get this built. I've just finished bag one, and I thought I'd show you a couple of things. First of all, it's really interesting to look at the beginning of the manual. We've got quite a bit of information about C-3PO, both the actual character in the films, and then also a little bit about the design of the set, which is really interesting, talking about the new pieces that have been created, the printed elements, and the different elements that have been recolored into pearl gold. And that really is the main thing of this. It really is a pearl gold parts pack. So this is bag one. So we've basically built C-3PO's what will this be, the inside of his left leg, I think, and you can see, excuse the van going past outside, you can really see how embedded he's going to be into that display stand. So this is the bottom of the foot, and this is all underneath the foot. So for anybody wanting to just take him off that stand, I'm afraid that's going to be a little bit more trouble. But as I said, I might try and create a joint stand for him, R2-D2. So anyway, right, I'm going to get on with it. I'm not going to do a bag by bag update, but if there is anything interesting as I go along, then I will do that. That's bag three done, and as you can see, we've got a full left leg, the attachment point to the ground there, which uses ball joints, and as you can see, it's still not stable yet. And we've got the beginnings of C-3PO's body again, which is attached using ball joints, and the first couple of stickers on the back there. So far, despite the falling over, it is a very nice solid build. So hopefully in the next bag or two, we'll be building the other leg, which includes the silver parts, and then we'll have you know, a standing version of C-3PO, which we can add more stuff onto. The build's really coming together now. We have a fully built pair of C-3PO legs, which now do stand by themselves, or rather they stand with their stand fixed in using ball joints there, and also the hips are ball joints too. It's quite interesting that when building it, I realised that the only connection really between the base and the feet and the rest of the legs is just these tiles on the front, that 1x2 tile there, and then the 1x2 tile on the back. If you remove those, the leg will actually just split apart completely, but they do feel really strong. So yeah, just an interesting thing to note there. Really nearly there. We've got pretty much everything completed apart from the arms and then the little stand with the minifigure. Yeah, it's really interesting to see some of the brand new pieces, like these quarter dome pieces here and then the matching slopes. I don't know if it comes across on camera, but they are an ever so slightly different gold from the pearl gold. They've got a kind of coppery feel to them, similar to a retired Lego colour that was actually more coppery. Yeah, it's been really impressive overall. Just get those arms to finish. And here we have our finished C-3PO, arms and all. This is a really impressive model, actually. I'm really pleased with how this has come together. It looks brilliant and it's really stable, really solid construction. Obviously a bit of repetition because it is a symmetrical build side to side, but it is a very interesting build to put together anyway. It comes with 1,138 pieces, which is a reference to one of George Lucas's earlier films, THX 1138. Which then spawned that THX sound, which some of you, if you're old enough, will have heard at the beginning of certain films, and it will have blown your eardrums out. But anyway, let's start with what's the least interesting things in this set first of all. So that is, let me just pop the camera down. First of all, we get another one of these 25 years of Lego Star Wars bricks with a tile on top. Fine. It's kind of odd actually, it's just thrown in there. It doesn't have anywhere to go, it doesn't stand on the stand, but there we are. Nice to get another one of those. And then we get a brilliant C-3PO minifigure. This is the same one, I believe, that came in the UCS Luke's Land Speeder a couple of years ago, and it is a really fantastic minifigure. The only thing that could have possibly made it better would be that leg being gunmetal grey, or well, they wouldn't do it drum lacquered, would they? But you know, it's dual molded anyway in light bluish grey, and the rest of him is pearl gold. It's funny that they've kept the same C-3PO head mold right the way since 1999. It just comes with printing on the eyes nowadays, which does look really good. Yeah, arm printing on both sides, brilliant torso printing with all those details, leg printing, side leg printing, and back printing on the torso, of course. Brilliant little minifigure. Information plaque is absolutely fine. It's printed. I quite like these small ones using these 6 by, what are they? 6 by, no, not 10. 6 by 14, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, oh no, 6 by 12. 6 by 12 tiles with the studs around the side. R2-D2 has an identical one, which we will look at later. But anyway, let's pop that to one side and take a look at C-3PO proper. So obviously showed you various bits and pieces as I was building him. This is a fun angle. He really looks like he towers over you. Yeah, like I said, really solid construction. He's fixed into that base really nicely. The angles that have been created using this technique are amazing. Obviously, his feet are slightly splayed out as they should be, but then also his heels are slightly higher than his toes. So he's actually only fixed with a single ball joint for each foot, and then the back is just locked in place with various pieces around it. But the overall effect, just move that into place, the overall effect is really nice. Yeah, it's just an octagonal base. In fact, you can see underneath these are part of his feet, and it's all locked in really nicely, and the base looks good as well actually. Just uses a simple black design with these rail pieces, or pieces that are meant to receive the rails, and then tan pieces on top to represent sand on Tatooine, which is nice. Means you can get those feet nice and embedded, and you can't really see any odd colors or anything coming through, which is nice. The legs are constructed pretty much identically, obviously apart from the color change. The left leg that is gold uses a combination of pearl gold as the main color. As I said, they've recolored a huge number of pieces for that, and then dark tan is the main other color that's used, which is I think it's fine. Obviously, ideally, we would have had this all done in pearl gold, or perhaps even done in drum lacquered gold, as a few of the pieces on here are. But they've recolored so many pieces already that I think we're pretty lucky to get what we got. I have seen some people who would have really liked it to all be in drum lacquered gold, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure what Lego's rules on that are. I think it must be more expensive, although weirdly there are some pieces, like we'll talk about in a second, like the 2x2 dish pieces that only come in drum lacquered gold. The pearl gold version is either non-existent or unavailable. The right leg then, the silver leg, does use drum lacquered pieces, so there's a lot of drum lacquered silver pieces, which is really, really nice. But then the other colour used there is light bluish grey, so in a way it actually matches the minifigure, so you can call that nice. Again, I think that's okay. You know, these sets are done to a budget, and it would have probably been quite expensive to drum lacquer, especially some of these more complicated pieces here, so like these wedge pieces. But you know, it gives C-3PO a weathered look, you could say. Some people won't like it, but you know what, that's absolutely fine, and I don't think you can please everyone. Coming up a little bit, we'll get up to the waist and the torso. Like I said at the beginning, the stickers used in this set are all cabling stickers, the majority of which are around the torso, and then a couple of which you can just see on the palms of his hands there. The technique for getting this angle here, you see his legs lean forward and then his torso leans back slightly, so at the end of the day he is completely upright, and if I push it back there, you can see that's exactly the way the C-3PO walks. Whether that was a choice by Anthony Daniels or whether that was just the restriction in movement because of the costume, that is just his iconic look. And the fact they've been able to replicate that and it's solid is fantastic. You build the legs, you build the torso, you put the torso onto the top using some Technic axles, and then you use those very special Technic pins, which I don't really know how to describe them. I'll try and put a picture up on the screen now, but they're basically there to design to lock everything in place, and then you get stuff put around the outside so they can't fall out, and that looks brilliant. Printed pieces for the circle there and the little bit of chest detailing there, which look great. That 3x3 tile is really, really versatile, and I think we really need a 3x3 plate to go with it as well, round plate that is. Again, lots more pearl gold, including these relatively new wedge pieces here and here. This is where we start to see, again, some more of those coppery coloured pieces. So these are those minifigure action stands, which replicate the detailing there absolutely perfectly. That's exactly what C-3PO looks like, but they've got that more coppery sheen to them. These 4 wide windscreen pieces, which have been recoloured again, also have that coppery colour. So I don't really know what the kind of reasoning, what the rule is about what's copper coloured. These pieces on the elbows are that as well. Yeah, it's just interesting. They must come from, you know, different factories, or there's a slightly different moulding process used to make them. Either way, it's as Jang would say, Jang Bricks himself, you can look at it and go, oh, maybe that's nice because it looks like it's kind of weathered. Yes, but they are meant to be the same colours, and they are shown as such in the instructions and in digital renders, so it's a little bit misleading, but there we go. And then, yeah, the arms themselves, which I hadn't shown before, they are really nice. We've got posability at the shoulder. We can just go backwards and forwards, and then we technically have a little bit of posability in the forearm like that, or you can, I'm doing this for the first time on camera, take that out, or rather take that piece out. Am I going to be able to do this one-handed? And you can reposition it. See, now I'm trying it, I don't think you can. No, you can't. So you're basically locked into one elbow position, which is fine because this is essentially C-3PO's default arm position, as with the legs, or rather the lean of the legs and the torso. I think this is something that was a restriction of the costume. I'm gonna have to put this down while I sort this out because it is not working. Yeah, I think it was a restriction of the costume, but it's become an iconic part of C-3PO, that he has this kind of bent-armed look. And then it uses some unexpected pieces for a Star Wars set, Harry Potter wands in pearl gold, and they're just there to be the kind of pistons that connect the inside of the elbows and the outside as well, which is really nice. The arms are identical, obviously mirrored side to side. Uses the still relatively new I don't know, action figure finger pieces, which have been used in quite a few sets now, again in pearl gold, and then his thumb is just one of these wedge pieces, so no posability there. The fingers can move a little bit. Basically the third and fourth fingers have got more movement, and then the first and second don't, because it uses one of these pieces with a bar on either side, so where it's connected you don't get the movement. There's a better view of one of the stickers on his palm, and there is the other one. They are different, which is nice. So yeah, not that it really matters which one you put where, but just keep an eye on the instructions. Just show you the back again, so more stickers there. This construction at the back is really nice. We get these ingot pieces, which look really nice. They're actually on hinges, and I think that accurately reflects what C-3PO's back looks like. I'm just looking at the minifigure, and yes, they've really worked that properly, because he does have 5 of those. So yeah, odd numbers in Lego, but they've managed to make it work really nicely. And then coming up to the head, which is arguably I don't know, I think it might be the most divisive part of the whole set. It's really nice. It uses those new quarter dome and slope pieces like I showed you, which are again in that kind of coppery colour, and actually these 1x2 non-cheese grater wedge pieces, or slope pieces I should say, are also in that colour too. Very interesting. The printed mouth and nose are lovely. I'm still not sold on the eyes, I have to say. I looked at them when it was first revealed, and that was the thing that stood out to me as not quite hitting the mark. I really like what they've gone for there, using a brick built solution rather than going for another print or anything like that. The dishes, incidentally, is what I was talking about earlier, as being drum lacquered and not pearl gold, which is slightly odd, I should say. And then we've got the trans yellow 1x1 studs, 1x1 round plates, I should say, in the middle. I think the thing that doesn't look quite right to me, and if we look at the minifigure, which obviously, you know, it's Lego's interpretation, you'll see there's more of a gap between the eyes, and I think that's the thing that's not quite working for me there. I was having a bit of a muck around when the speed builds for this first came out, trying to recreate the head. And I think what would have really, really worked there would have been the Lego saucer element. First came out with the Lego Harry Potter collectible minifigures series 1, and has since been recoloured into a couple of other colours, not pearl gold unfortunately, but I think that would have been perfect, because they are sort of 1.5 studs ish in diameter, so that would have left a little bit of a gap between the eyes, still allowed you to attach the trans yellow studs on the front. So if those are ever recoloured in pearl gold, then I think I will go ahead and get a couple of those and add them on here, although it might be worth trying a couple of other things, see what we get. One detail I do particularly like is just the little bit that sticks forward on the top of the head there. Does make the head look slightly disjointed, but I like the way it looks, and you're not going to be viewing it from that angle too much. So there we go, that is the C-3PO build. Uses a lot of snot bricks to get the studs facing in all directions, particularly on the torso and the legs, so be careful if you're building this and exactly how you put those together to make sure that everything lines up. Right, final thing to do is definitely to put him with R2-D2 and see how the two compare. And here they are, arguably the two main characters of the Star Wars saga, or at least the ones who appear in the most films. I've actually realised I hadn't looked all the way to the end of the instructions, because if you do look right at the end, just trying to find the page again now, there is actually one instruction page just here which shows you how to move C-3PO's arm so he can be in essentially this position, or patting R2 on the head there. Yeah, so I just didn't get it right before, but it does mean you can put the arm in at a slightly different angle, and then yeah, really replicate this pose of them outside the Lars homestead on Tatooine. And there is of course an advert at the back for 75379, which is now a lot more affordable, and does come with that nice exclusive Darth Malak? I want to say Darth Malak. I sold mine anyway. So yeah, those are the two sets. Obviously R2 is not on here on a base or anything like that, so he is a little bit lower than C-3PO, but what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to create a base for R2. Obviously he doesn't need it for stability or anything like that, but it would look nice, and then they'll at least both be you know, at the same level and look like they're both on Tatooine. And maybe I'll do a similar thing for the two minifigure scale ones down below as well. But yeah, those look really, really good together. They scale pretty much perfectly. they're both really interesting builds, you know, and I think it was great because, you know, we've had a couple of UCS R2D2s which have been bigger than this, so I think people were a little bit skeptical when Lego came out with this one here, but obviously now it makes total sense because the C-3PO is big enough and expensive enough, so never mind one that would match with those UCS R2D2s. So yeah, I was really happy to pick this up early. Like I said at the beginning, it did cost me, well, basically full retail price, a few pounds off. I think it's worth it, to be honest. I think it's worth it. Price per piece ratio is not quite right, depending on how you look at it, but for people who want this to go with their R2D2, I think this is brilliant. If you haven't picked up the R2D2, like I said, it's on sale because it's been out for a little while yet, and if you can bear to wait, then, you know, pick this up on sale and you get a bargain overall. But I do think that it is worth it. It was a really good build, and these are going to go on display together straight away really nicely. I've got a spot for them picked out already, so that is absolutely perfect. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this review. Leave a comment, let me know if you're going to be getting C-3PO to go with R2D2, and let me know what you think about the set in general. What about those colours? Are they something that you're okay with Lego doing, or do they really need to improve their quality control there? Yeah, let me know, and if you've got any questions about the set, then leave them in the comments below and I'll do my best to get back to you, and I will see you again very soon.